And we're off. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Miami Dolphins, All Dolphins podcast post-game therapy session. Breakdown. As we dissect everything that happened, as I said in the teaser, before, during, and after the Dolphins' 31-6 loss against the Cleveland Browns at Huntington Bank Field, a performance that was every bit as embarrassing as the final score would suggest, matching the opener at Indianapolis in terms of the biggest margin of loss in the 2025. And to dissect all of it, joining me again, Miami Dolphins on the side, Deputy Editor Dante Collinelli, sporting his Temple hat. And I certainly can appreciate you wanting to represent your college as opposed to the team you cover right now.
Yeah, well, my college team's 4-3, so we're doing a lot better, and I think your succinct summary of the game is accurate. It looked every bit as bad as the 31-6 score would indicate. Just not a single serious facet of the game for the Dolphins. Brutal, just a new low in a season of lows.
Yep. Before we get into it further, as always, please like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. Make your comments respectful, please. I know a lot of Dolphin fans are very, very, very frustrated. I get it. By the way, let me address the elephant in the room right now. No, there has not been a head coaching change as of yet. Head coach Mike McDaniel conducted his post-game press conference, dropped an F-bomb toward the end of the session when he was talking about the players want to bleeping win. Okay, that's great and all that. It's a flawed team right now, a very damaged team, but bad in every phase. The weather conditions weren't quite as bad as they were supposed to be. It was raining for pretty much the entire game. The wind wasn't nearly the factor it was supposed to be or predicted to be at certain times. We were reading wind gusts of up to 40 miles an hour. Never got to that point. And so I don't even know how much we can use that as an excuse for the passing game being so woof. Go ahead, Dante. You look like you want to chime in here.
Look, I'm not trying. This is not. I don't want to die on the excuses hill, but I do think. I mean, it was pouring. And look, this is one of the limitations that the starting quarterback has. He is not the player who's going to cut through the rain. And you saw it on the other side of the ball too. Dylan Gabriel was not cutting through the rain. He was better than Tua, but he wasn't cutting through the rain either. So that's part of the limitations that you have with this quarterback. To me, it affected the passing game, but I think that again is an issue that you have inherent to your quarterback. And there was no version of this where the Dolphins were going to be able to effectively work around it with the tools at their disposal.
Yeah, and if Dylan Gabriel is your bar, I'm sorry, you're not going anywhere. With all due respect,
I don't disagree with that at all.
Okay, because I mean the kid's trying, and the best thing he did today was not turn the ball over. But that offense, I think Cleveland had 210 yards. The Dolphins had a little bit more than that, so it was brutal. But this is, if you've been a follower of me on social media, at Miami Dolphins on SI.com, check out the free content, please. We need you guys some eyeballs on there, please. Or the All Dolphins podcast. I've said this time and time again. If the conditions, and I don't mean just the weather, but everything around Tua is ideal, the dude will deliver. He's like a fabulous point guard, but it better be ideal around him. Like this is, again, if you hear the notion, if only he had an offensive line, if only he had wide receivers, if only the weather was good. That's not reality. Sometimes you're going to get all that, and when that happens, Tua's going to put up big numbers. And again, it's also more than about numbers. There are certain members of the media who shall remain nameless who just keep fixating on the high completion percentage and the passer rating, which is going to be good, partly because of the offense they run, and partly because, again, Tua, generally speaking, is very accurate. But there's more to it than that. And then the Dolphins, another part of the issue right now is they have a quarterback who is not playing well, and they're kind of sort of stuck with him.
Yeah, I don't really have any pushback on any of that. I mean, I think you and I have been pretty consistent in our opinions of Tua for the past couple of years. I think he's a good to average NFL quarterback and nothing more, nothing less. And today he was awful, and he was terrible today. Not trying to make any excuses, rain, people not running the right way out of the huddle like he talks about in his post-game press conference. not trying to make any excuses for Tua. He was terrible today. And I think that, look, I tweeted this during the game. I think, you need to have a different plan at quarterback next year. I think whether Tua's on the roster or not, whether they want to do the Russell Wilson thing and eat, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, the number that they'd have to eat.
I think it was.
Yeah. So even if they don't do that, though, to me, and I'm sure you would agree with this, there needs to be a different plan at quarterback. If you have to have Tua as a really expensive backup on the football team next season, like the Falcons have Kirk Cousins as a really expensive backup right now, that you have to do it. You need to make a major investment at the position. If it's free agency, if it's a trade, it's a draft, we'll have the next 10 weeks to talk through those options and what they look like and blah, blah, blah. Whatever it looks like, I at this point, it doesn't matter to me. It has to be different. Tua cannot be the assumed starter heading into the season. It needs to be a young quarterback, preferably, with some legit upside. And if Tua has to sit on the bench and be a $80 million backup quarterback for a year before you have an out in your contract that doesn't break your books, that is what it is. That's where the Dolphins are at. They put themselves in this position. I don't feel bad for them. It's where they're at. But you cannot go into next season with him as the assumed starting quarterback. You cannot with no other plan. It would be completely unacceptable. And I think that if there's a new regime, I think that they will do that, frankly.
Okay, and to me, I don't know if I'd bank on that. And by the way, if he is on the roster, the cap number is $56 million next year. No, it's not. It's 80. I don't remember the number, but if they release him outright, it's completely outrageous. And I don't have the numbers in front of me. Let me go back to Mike McDaniel because he's the one, as I mentioned. No, there was no move. I have said my position all along has been that I think Stephen Ross really, really, really wants it to work with Mike McDaniel. I think it's pretty obvious it's not working. My point has always been it would take something very embarrassing for a move to be made. I don't know how much more embarrassing it gets in 31-6 against the Cleveland Browns. I never thought it would happen immediately after a game because that's a bad look. If something were to happen tomorrow morning, for example, Monday morning, that would not shock me. It also wouldn't surprise me if we stayed the course and kept on going. The Dolphins are so fragile right now because it's like they caught a couple of bad breaks on penalties, and I'm going to discuss this. And I got some pushback on social media. Again, please don't tell me what I am saying I saw. It's annoying to me. And this is what I'm going to tell you. At some point now, I finally got a good angle on the Jalen Waddle play that led to the interception against the Chargers. And yes, it hit his hands first. Okay. I had not seen this at the time I was saying that I wasn't sure whether Tariq Still, the Chargers cornerback, had gotten his hand. On the play where the Ashton Davis interception was negated by the DPI on Minkah Fitzpatrick, there's an angle where I clearly saw, if you want to tell me I'm making things up, sure, go for it, where Minkah with his left hand or one of his arms is pulling down the arm of the receiver. And when the ball's in the air, I'm sorry, but that's a DPI. Does it always get called? No, but you can't bitch that was a horrible call. That's what I saw. And then on the other one, if we're going to be fair about it, on the other one, the defensive holding in the first quarter that kept the drive alive, they called Chop Robinson on the play. They showed a replay isolating Chop Robinson. It wasn't him. He didn't do anything. Then the CBS analyst, Adam Archuleta, suggested maybe they called it on Rasul Douglas. They had an ISO on him. If that's defensive holding, then nobody can ever play DB because the guy was did nothing. My overriding point is the Dolphins right now are so fragile that they can never overcome situations like that. Like the good team get a bad break and then they can overcome it. The Dolphins, what happens? DPI overturned, next play, 46-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, and they spiral, right? Like they just keep going downhill. They spiral down. They cannot bounce back. I think a lot of this conversation tends to get a little bit overrated sometimes, but I think with this Dolphins team, it's very important to talk about. The team does not have the mentals for this, the mental fortitude, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to describe it as. They don't have it, and it's been like that all year. We saw it against Carolina, right? They just completely collapsed in that game, a game that they led for most of the game. And it's just they don't have it. And that's really frustrating. And to your point about the penalties, I'm a very I'm not going to complain about the refs guy. I'm not. The refs are the refs. You can't control the refs.
Correct.
I think, the DPI call, I think probably could go either way. DPI is always like that. I mean, they usually err on the side of throwing the flag there. If you want to have a larger conversation about the terrible DPI calls across the league, I'm not going to push back on you. That happens, though. Those things happen in games. You get some calls that go your way, some calls that don't. I think the one that, to me, I think the refs probably deserve some flack for the most, at least, is the illegal contact one, the one that you described about Chop and maybe Rasul Douglas. I have no idea what they're looking at. Obviously, they called the wrong number, so maybe there was something on the other side of the field that the CBS broadcast didn't provide information for. I have no idea, but if that was supposed to be called on Rasul Douglas, that's absurd. And then look, is the Zach Sealer roughing the passer call, is that a silly rule? Yeah, it is, but it's the rule. You can't hit the quarterback in the head. Right. Doesn't matter how hard you hit him in the head. Doesn't matter what part of your body hits him in the head. You can't hit the quarterback above the neck. That's the rule. Is it silly sometimes? Do we get some really soft, unnecessary roughness penalties? Yeah, we absolutely do. But you got to know the rule there. And this, unfortunately for Zach Sealer, is not the first time that he's walked into one of these penalties where you go, yeah, is it a bit of a silly rule? Yeah, but you got to know the rule. And Sealer's not having a good year, and that's a mental mistake. He hit him in the head with his hand. They're going to call that 100 out of 100 times. So I'm not going to sit up here and get on the refs or blame the refs. Frankly, the Dolphins didn't play well enough to earn that argument. They don't. Like the refs, yeah, they overturned your interception. The refs did not miss a tackle on Quinshon Judkins on a 48-yard run on the next play. You can still stop them. They were at midfield. Get a stop.
Yep. No, that's an issue. And again, the Dolphins are bad. And the offense, one more thing, I want to go back to McDaniel. I generally don't necessarily get involved in criticizing the play calling because that's so easy to do after the fact. But like they're losing, what was it, 24-6 by then, like midway through the third quarter, and they're like walking really slowly to the line of scrimmage. And they are like, okay, running the ball. And then early in the fourth quarter, it's still 24-6. They have the ball like inside their 10-yard line. I understand they're kind of backed up a little bit, but time is of the essence. Run the ball on first down, run the ball on second down. And then the third down plays where Tua was intercepted for the last time. It's like, man, that offense is tough to watch sometimes. And they were like, where was the sense of urgency in this particular case?
I think the play calling, what really bothered me was the opening play of the second half. That bothered me a lot. You kick a field goal, you're down 13-6. The first play of the opening half, your running back Devon Achane is averaging 11 yards per carry. 11 yards per carry.
Well, yeah, okay, hold on, because I saw you tweeted that. One run's 46 yards. I mean,
who cares? You haven't moved the ball otherwise. Well, this is why it bothers me, though. It's less about that. It's more about, okay, we want to get Devon Achane the ball. So instead of turning it around and handing it to him, you put Malik Washington in the backfield and you run a 2-yard out to the flat. It's a spot route, by the way. I think Tua should have targeted Jalen Waddle there. I thought that was a bad read, but we don't need to get into that. Doesn't matter.
I've seen it like,
yeah, there you go. Right, but like, you want to get Devon Achane the ball? Fine, turn it around and hand it to him. It's raining. You haven't moved the ball through the air. You have a couple of explosive runs on your resume in the game. Why are you throwing a 3-yard out to the running back? Just hand it to him. You want to throw a 3-yard out? Put Malik Washington out there. He plays receiver. It's absurd. Achane dropped the pass earlier in the game. Ball hit him in the hands. He dropped it. He's had other drops this year. What are we doing? Just hand it to him. You want to get him a touch there? Fine. Turn it around and hand the ball off. You're only down by 7. It's absurd. I was losing my mind.
Again, we're playing the results a little bit, and
no, we're not. That's terrible process.
Did you tweet it right before as they were running the play?
How can I tweet it when they were running the play?
Because if you're really, really fast and you really, really hit the play,
I'm not that fast of a typer.
Well, that play was like, okay, it's a bad throw, and then HN makes it worse by tipping the ball instead of. First of all, it would have been a hell of a catch if he made the catch, but he makes it worse by tipping it right into the air, right into the hands of Tyson Campbell. And for the record, the other two picks. One of them, he just flat out overthrew the receiver in the middle of the field, and the one on the blitz, he kind of he kind of panicked and wanted to check it instead of taking a sack, which is understandable, but it's right at the Cleveland guy. But the offense right now is it's like a popcorn offense. I look at Cleveland. Cleveland's offense is like, woof, that's rough to watch. And the Dolphin offense, other than Achane breaking one once in a while, it's kind of the same thing. Okay, let's address the other quarterback on the roster, the Dolphins on the other quarterbacks on the roster. The Dolphins made a switch, which Mike McDaniel, after the game, said was strictly for this game, and that's Quinn Ewers being the number 2 quarterback instead of Zach Wilson. And he said it basically was based on the week of practice and the matchup against the opponent. What exactly that means, what do the Browns do that would prevent Zach Wilson from being the guy? And if this continues moving forward, then why in the hell did you sign Zach Wilson in free agency? And I know you hated that move from the beginning, and it's like, wow, seriously?
Yeah, no,
guaranteed to be beaten out by a rookie 7th round pick.
I'm with you on it being a waste of resources either way, whether I liked it or not. It's $6 million that if he's not going to be the QB2 in a scenario where you're playing a 1-5 team and you're down by 25, when is he going to be in the game? What is McDaniel's basically saying? Well, it was about the opponent. Did he not want him to take a hit from Myles Garrett in case he went into the game? Why are you putting Quinn Ewers in to take that hit? Why? Like, that's a strange response to that question from McDaniel. Very strange.
If anything, it would make more sense to play Zach Wilson because the Browns have a very good pass rush, and you'd want a quarterback with mobility to be able to make plays off script. And that's not Quinn Ewers' game. It makes no sense. In fact, I would have suggested, and I would have tweeted this, that if Zach Wilson had been the backup in this game, I'd have said start in the second half or right after the pick, the pick 6, because it was very clear that Tua wasn't sharp. And I also know that it's not going to happen because the Dolphins kind of made their bed all in on Tua, show me the money while they showed him the money. And this was the summer of bad spending that's come back to bite the Dolphins all over the place. And it's not just Tua. This was a summer, gave Tyreek guaranteed money when they did not need to, extended Jalen Ramsey for a second consecutive year when they didn't need to, gave Mike McDaniel a 2-year contract, the contract extension when he had 2 years left on his contract when they didn't need to, and gave Tua the big money instead of having him play on the 5th-year option. And you want to talk about backfiring like bad. That's what's happened to this Dolphin team. Okay, let's do some positive stuff because we're not all negative Nellies over here. The run defense, dare I say it, obviously, and I'm not going to play the Tom Olivadotti card for those Dolphin fans old enough to remember. Tom Olivadotti became sort of infamous. He was a former defensive coordinator for saying, if you take away the 70-yard run, the 50-yard run, we actually did a good job in run defense. Okay. Having said that, and Anthony Weaver's kind of fallen into that a little bit, but in this case today, he actually was right. First of all, Judkins finished with 84 yards. So a nice rebound from 206 by Dowdle and 124 by Vidal. And Dolphins had 6 tackles for loss on running plays. That's pretty good. That's very, very good. You just had the one bad breakdown, but overall, much better in the run defense.
Yeah, I agree. I still don't think that it's tough because I agree they were better, but it's like I'm not impressed either. You know, it's just like, sure, you beat up a bad Cleveland Browns offensive line. It's a step in the right direction. They'll take it. There's not much else going right. I think they deserve a lot of credit. I think one of the few things that I agree with Mike McDaniel on in his post-game presser was that the defense didn't quit in the second half. I think you can attribute a lot of the points that the Browns scored in the second half to the offense, frankly. That the Browns got the ball at the 2, and then there was a pick 6. So
there's your 14 points right there.
There's your 14 points. I don't really think the defense deserves blame for any of that, quite frankly. So I agree with you. Run defense better. I'm not particularly impressed, but hopefully they can build on it, right? It's a small building block on a season where you haven't done anything correctly on the defensive side of the ball for the most part, at least in my opinion. I still don't think this is a unit that does anything well, but as far as, hey, we're looking for the bright side, we're looking for some flashes to hang our hats on. I think run defense was better today. I thought Kenneth Grant made some nice plays today as well. He popped a bit more. I thought it was interesting. He didn't start in this game, and I didn't see him get in until like the second or maybe third drive. We'll have to go back and see, but I thought he made some nice plays. So if you're looking for some bright side, sure.
It's going to be a short conversation for you.
Yeah, but that's it. So
is that it? Jake Bailey had a 50-yard punt.
Sure. Yeah, he might be the best player on the team this year. Statistically.
Yep. Riley Patterson had a missed field goal, but he got bailed out by that penalty. Remember, we told you about this, as indicated by special teams coordinator Craig Aukerman at one point during his weekly media session. The point of emphasis is you're not allowed to make contact with a long snapper when his head is down. Obviously, if the long snapper is just going to keep his head down the entire time, I think they're going to allow it, but there's a certain grace period that you just can't make contact, and the Browns player clearly made contact with Joe Cardona, hence the penalty. This was at the end of the first half, I want to say, and then the Dolphins couldn't cash in because on first down there was a low shotgun snap that Tua couldn't handle and had to fall on. And again, it's one of those, dare I say it, I'm going to say it, very easy to criticize Tua for not making that, eating potato chips on the couch. Sorry, I don't eat potato chips, but I'm gonna save him the trouble. Wasn't a great snap. It wasn't. It was at his knees, maybe a little below the knees. Should he have had it? 50-50 blame on that one, maybe.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, it's another comedy of errors, right? Like even the missed field goal, right? I mean, Jake Bailey deserves a ton of credit for getting that snap down.
Yes,
in the first place, it was over his head, and he caught it and put it down, and then Patterson doinked it. So, I mean, it was a comedy of errors. I mean, that's got to be one of the worst end of half scoring drives I've ever seen.
Right?
Unserious play calling, execution, snaps into the ground, almost snapped it over the Jake Bailey's head on the first field goal. It's just the most uninspiring 3 points I've ever seen scored at the end of the first half, man.
By the way, we're going to get to the comments and your questions very shortly. Just a couple of quick thoughts that I want to get in, and Dante, I'm sure, wants to get in too. DS Chris partner, hold on to the ball on the kickoff return. I mean, that was not. I mean, props to the Cleveland player who came in from the side. That was not a hard hit. I mean, above and beyond anything else that you should expect on a kickoff return, and he was holding the ball way too loosely, and it created the fumble. I mean, that's, to me, I'd rather have, unless Malik is gassed or nicked or whatever, I'd rather have Malik back there all the time.
I agree. And I think it kind of goes to the Browns just looked better prepared to handle the elements in this game. I don't really know. I mean, the Browns had one drop, and I think they had a bad snap too, but no fumbles from Cleveland. I didn't see a ton of guys slipping on their side of the ball. They didn't have any bad snaps on field goals. I mean, Jake Bailey bailed them out twice. I know the one eventually would have got called back for a penalty, but even the first field goal that Patterson hit wasn't a good snap either. And he caught that. And so to me, the Dolphins felt like a team that was not as well prepared for the elements as Cleveland was. And frankly, that was incredibly predictable given the last 4 years of Dolphins football that we've seen. Even going back a little bit, I remember the game in the rain against Tennessee in Tennessee, right? Like that was another brutal one. So not surprising, but a factor in the game. Those small errors add up. And when your opponent is better in that area than you are, yeah, you get a de-escridge fumble. The Browns, no turnovers in the game. You have 4 if you're Miami, 3 picks and the fumble.
Yep. No, and the biggest miscue the Browns had is on a third down reception by a tight end who's wide open in the open field. All he had to do he dropped it after catching it, and then he out of his hand, he had to fall on it. But outside of that, no, not a whole lot of positive things to say about this game for the Dolphins, who, by the way, face the Atlanta Falcons next Sunday, which is not going to be an easy task. So, okay, let's go ahead and let's go to the comments, shall we?
Let's do it. Let's do it. See what the people have to say.
Oh boy, that's going to be fun. And here we go. I'm going to start with Brett McIntyre. Thank you very much, Brett. XQB here. Very nice. QB play equals read bad DB body positioning and throw against it. Read bad by okay. Not first read, not equals happy feet. Spot throw again, straight to defenders who are reacting to you. It's unaware, dumb play by one. Okay, I'm assuming this would probably, you're talking an interception number 3, I'm assuming.
I mean, that was just I got nothing on that interception. I don't know what we're doing on that INT. I have no idea. I mean, I could have caught that pass. I mean, that was a floater. That ball was moving 5 miles an hour down the seam into a tight window. I got nothing. I have no idea.
X says, SanchXX, thank you very much for the donation. Brett, also thank you very much for the donation. We very much appreciate those. Keep them coming. Is Omar going to revisit the interceptions in droves question? LOL. Listen to the Tua press conference. No, Tua was not asked. And does it really matter? What matters is Tua's up to 10 interceptions so far this season, which is not good. His passer rating, which certainly, as I said before, certain media members fixate on, is like at 82 something, which is not good. And for today, it was a career low 24.1. Not good.
Not great.
Okay. See, now you see. Okay, we're going to do. It reminded me of something I wanted to touch on. Julian Vivas. I'm assuming it's Julian. If it's Julian, I apologize. Thank you very much for the donation. Is Zach going to get traded? As a diehard BYU fan, it hurts to see Zach struggle. I feel like his career is over. I'm sad, but I'll get over it. No, I don't think he's going to get traded because, first of all, he's got no body of work since his last game for the Jets, which was against the Dolphins, where he got plastered in a 34-0 game. So what's anybody going to give up for him? No. It's just weird, very, very weird what happened. I'll be curious to see who's the number 2 against Atlanta next week. But if it's not Zach Wilson, again, what are we doing? Okay, and what I wanted to mention based on this is Matthew Judon also is inactive against the Browns. Number 1, he hasn't played particularly well. The suggestion is, could the Dolphins want to make sure he doesn't get traded in case somebody's desperate enough for pass rushing help that they would throw the Dolphins a 7th-round pick for him? And Dante, you're shaking your head no?
No, I wouldn't trade an 8th-round pick for Matthew Judon.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I have a lot of respect for Matthew as a person. I do. Seems like a nice guy. He's had a really, really good career. The tape was bad last year. It's even worse this year. I think Quentin Bell's a better football player right now. And I think that was reflected in who was active against Cleveland and who was not. And so I find it hard to believe that you do with Zach Wilson that someone would give a pick for Judon. And what I'll say about both of those players, if the Dolphins do get a call for either and a pick is offered, I would take it in less than a second. I would fire it away, and I wish Matthew Judon well. I hope he goes to a contender and he wins another Super Bowl ring. I had some hope for that signing, but it hasn't been good this year.
No, and unless I'm wrong, I don't recall seeing Quentin Bell on defense because he was active last week as well, and all he did was play.
I don't recall seeing him either. So probably just special teams again.
I did notice Chop Robinson had an uptick in snaps. He had an encroachment penalty on the play where there's a successful play for the Browns anyway, which is not good. Obviously, you got to stop doing that. Had one nice tackle against the run. Outside of that, not very noticeable. I was happy to see Jalen Phillips finally get a sack after coming close so many times, although it did come toward the end when it really wasn't a major difference maker. So, Karen, I believe, is this good? No. I mean, I don't know if it's a French name, so it could be Dubé or it could be Doobie. Karen, thank you very much for the contribution, donation. Very much appreciated. I double-dared Omar on Twitter to ask Tua again about his multi-game turnovers. Viewers' numbers were better than Tua's. Should we go with him? No, not at this point. Again, everything in this offense has been tailored to Tua. He's the one who's gotten all the reps. I think it would actually look pretty ugly, and it wasn't very good today, other than that prayer to D. Eskridge down the left sideline at the end of the game, good for 40 yards. I think it would be pretty ugly. And by the way, the Falcons love to blitz. I think they blitz more than any team in the NFL, which is not good news. Quinn Ewers is not fleet of foot, so no, I would not start Quinn Ewers or Zach Wilson against the Falcons. It's going to be Tua, and hopefully he plays better than he played today.
Yeah, I think the only reason you start Quinn is if you're just openly tanking at that point, which I don't know. Sure, we can get to that if there are some moves made in the next couple days. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't expect them to go that way. And I thought Quinn was terrible in the snaps that he took, and I don't know that that's fair to him, frankly, given the situation that he inherited and the fact that he was the quarterback 3 for most of the year. I can't imagine he's gotten a ton of snaps in practice and such. So I don't want to beat him up too much, but I mean, he comes into the game. His first pass is an interception that's dropped. And then he takes a sack on a snap that he couldn't handle. And then he comes out on the second drive and he misses Jalen Waddle, who's open by 3 steps so badly that it's a hospital ball. Waddle goes up, comes down hard, and doesn't get back up. They got to get him off the sideline. He's hurt. So I did not see anything from Quinn Ewers snaps that makes me feel even remotely interested in seeing him play more football unless the goal is to lose games outright. And I don't think that's going to happen as long as Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier are still employed.
Been there, done that. Oh, sorry.
Redact that. Allegedly. Redact.
Exactly. You mentioned Waddle, and if you saw on the play, absolutely the officials missed a face mask because when the DB goes up, he grabs him by the face mask. That kind of turned him around. 3 offensive players wound up getting injured. Darren Waller had a pec injury. That happened late in the second quarter. Did not come back. Downgraded to out at halftime. Whenever I hear pectoral injury, that always scares the crap out of me. Because generally speaking, when somebody can't return to a game after a pec, sometimes it's serious. By the way, James Daniels was a pec injury, and we haven't seen him since week 1. Julian Hill looked like he suffered some kind of ankle injury or foot injury late in the game also, and then we had the Waddle thing. So this is not a team that can afford any more injuries on offense, although this is where some folks might say, what difference would it make? And probably wouldn't be wrong. Yankee lover, 2 of the 3 picks were on tour. I can forgive his second pick. The second pick would be the one from the end zone where he was blitzed. If you want to look at it from the prism of he's trying to avoid giving up a safety and trying to make something happen, sure, maybe.
I'd have to look at the film and see whose responsibility that defender was. If that was an offensive line breakdown or if Tua was hot and he held the ball too long, I don't know. Off the broadcast copy, I'm not sure, but either way, that's not a good throw in that situation. So I think it's at a minimum 50% of the blame on the quarterback. I don't know if it ends up being 100 after watching the tape or if there's another 50% to the offensive line or a receiver or whoever. I don't know, but not a good throw. So
no, it was interesting. If you recall the play to it, there was a good job by CBS for pointing that out. They showed a pressure look, only rushed 3 at the snap, and then they had another guy come in a little bit late, and that last one was the one who had a free rush because the offensive linemen were busy with other guys, and he had a free lane and got straight to Tua, and then Tua was like, what are we going to do? Polterghost, I like that. That's a cool name. And love them. Would you call those avatars also on YouTube? Big SpongeBob fan over here. So sorry, I couldn't even get it out. Did Steeler get paid for being a good employee? That's not very nice. Steeler got paid because he was really, really good in 2024, in 2023, 2022. This year, he has not been good, and it's fair to wonder and ask how much of his performance was having a guy like Christian Wilkins or Calais Campbell next to him. And is this going to, get reversed and trend in the right direction at any point in 2025?
Yeah, I don't know. I just know that it hasn't been good this year. Zach Sieler's been bad. He's been a net negative for the Dolphins in every facet. His pass rush hasn't been good. The run defense has been bad. He's committed a bunch of really not good penalties this season. So it's tough because I think, if you had asked either of us going into the year, hey, like who's one player you can count on at least to be like good, maybe not great or elite, but like one player you'd be like, I have no worries about him showing up every week. I think both of us probably would have answered Zach Sieler before the season. And so to see him be someone who's not, not average, a net negative, a negative influence on the defense is frankly shocking. It's really surprising. I think it's one of the more like most surprising things that on the team this year. It's just like Zach Taylor's been really bad, and I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah, no, as you mentioned, this was a team filled with question marks heading into the regular season. Zach Wilson was not supposed to be one of them, and that's why we're 1-6. And then Tua brought up the fact that this reminds him of 2021 when the Dolphins were 1-7 at one point before reeling off 7 wins in a row. Two big differences: the Dolphins got to 1-7 that year in part because Tua missed 3 games, and their schedule once they got to 1-7 was, quite frankly, and I know you play this, the teams that are on your schedule, would go back and look at the quarterbacks they faced during that run of 7 straight wins. I'm talking Ian Book, who's made 1 NFL career start. It was against the Dolphins in that Monday night game against the Dolphins where half the New Orleans roster was out with COVID. They faced him. They faced Mike Glennon. It was woof. And that helped. And there's not that thing on the roster. Again, I'm one of those who'll say never say never. The idea the Dolphins have a long winning streak in them right now, it kind of sounds kind of absurd. Noel, my friend, thank you very much for the donation. I much appreciated. I feel like the Dolphins have to make some change to keep us fans interested. The unknown intrigues me more than the known right now. Yeah, because the known sucks. No, and as I tweeted at one point, can you imagine if this game today had taken place at Hard Rock Stadium, what the sound would have been like? Woo!
Yeah.
I mean, brutal.
Yeah.
But next week again is Atlanta on the road. Then you have the Thursday night game against the Baltimore Ravens. So, but you're right. Here's the thing is, you don't make a change for the sake of making a change, but you're supposed to continue banging your head against the wall when it just keeps getting worse and worse also.
Yeah, I think the argument too, for me at least, has been just listening to Mike today after the game and listening to where the locker room seems to be at. I mean, it feels like so much frustration is starting to bubble and it's starting to bubble over a bit. I think that's why Tua made the comment that he made after last week's game about players not being on time. And I don't want to rehash that, but that was his frustration bubbling up and boiling over. And I think Mike was as frustrated as I've ever heard him in the 4 years he's been the head coach of the team today. I mean, he dropped an F-bomb and he said players' frustration prevented us from executing. I mean, to me, it's just like, has the locker room reached a breaking point where these people, the mixture of the people in the building, it's not good. It's not going to be conducive to doing anything productive for the rest of the year. And to me, again, I'm not in the building. I'm not in the locker room. I don't know the answers to those questions, but from the little window that I can peer through it as a media member, they might be at that point. It might just be boiled over. It might just be, once the volcano explodes, you can't put everything back in. And to me, I don't know how you get more embarrassing than you did on the field against Cleveland. And I don't know how you get more frustrated than you did in the post-game pressers that I watched about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, and the point needs to be made that you cannot make the kind of statement that Tua made in the post-game press conference after the game against the Chargers and come out and play like he played today. That's just
I agree.
Matt O, thank you very much, Matt. Much appreciated. Unsure if it was injuries or what, but Tua just looks worse. He went from a rich man's Pennington to a poor man's Pennington. No benefits to offset his limitations anymore, plus no real backup QB. Ugh. Right now, I don't even know if he's a poor man. The way he's playing, he's not a poor man Pennington. I think he's not even at that level. But no, you make a good point. Brett, thank you very much again. Low to medium win, rain/no games favor the offense, provided you have a strong-armed quarterback. I kind of like yours in that kind of game. Mobility be damned. My friend Brett, if you're talking arm strength, Zach Wilson is easily has the best arm on this roster. Easily. So
no pushback from me. I'm not a Quinn Ewers guy. If you watched the draft coverage that we did on this podcast and you read my pre-draft coverage and post-draft coverage, Quinn Ewers, I don't think has the arm to cut through the wind either. I think the result would have been the same in this game, at least.
Yep. Brett, that's funny. Larry Borum for tight end. Good one. For those not aware of what Brett's talking about, toward the end of the game, Quinn Ewers was sacked from the side. The ball popped up in the air right into the arms of Larry Borum. who proceeded to get drilled by.
He did get hit hard. I was a bit worried he wasn't going to get back up because that was a big hit for an offensive lineman, but he got back up. So.
And by the way, for those wondering, no, it does not go in the books as a reception. That was a sack, fumble recovery for Borum. And the player who got the sack on that play was none other than Jerome Baker.
I think Borum should get a reception for that. He earned it. Give it to him. Come on.
Brian Doherty, thank you very much, Brian. Is there any truth to the theory that Greer won't be fired as long as the Flores lawsuit is ongoing? It's like Flores is a ghost that continues to haunt us. It's a theory that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. That thing is like, man, that thing has been dragging on because last I checked, Flores was fired in January 2022. We're not October 2025, and that still hasn't gone on. There have been hearings, motions, and now it's supposed to be like in open court. So is there any truth to the theory? I don't know that for a fact. Does it make sense? Yeah, kind of, sort of. My best guess is that come 2026, Chris Greer is going to be reassigned to a different position in a Dolphin front office. That would be my best guess at the moment. It's not a report, not sources telling me this. This is my very educated opinion. Or uneducated, however you want to look at it. Your call. Joey with a funny one. We got comedian in our midst. Thank you very much for the donation. The Tua misses player-led meetings this week.
Got him.
I should have sound effects here in the background and go.
That'd be nice. That'd be good.
Brett, thank you very much, sir. My first comment was maybe vague, but the point is you can spot throw instantly, but not after the rush. Correct. One is bad at reading and reacting to smart DBs. No pushback here. No argument here. This is like, and I love this whole, like, he throws on time. He throws with great anticipation. Yeah. Again, this is repped time and time and time again. And the offense was working at its peak, it was Tyreek and Waddle getting open very quickly. And then Tua, like the synchronization between the two, Tua knew where his guys were supposed to be. They were getting where they were supposed to be. And Tua was very good at delivering the ball. And then if guys were bounced off their routes, Chargers 2022, then we had issues. Okay. This and that spot thrower thing is like drives me nuts. If I have a guy 15 yards down the field and he's running across the field, am I supposed to throw where he is, or am I throwing to the spot where he's going to be? Oh, I'm going to throw the spot where he's going to be. Oh, that's a spot thrower right there.
I think the difference in why they bring that up with Tua a lot is because the route that you're describing has a designated read player right on the defense. Tua doesn't read players; he reads space. That's the difference. That's why people call what the Dolphins do spot. Yes, every quarterback throws to a spot. There's a designated spot, but other quarterbacks read a player first. They read a defensive positioning first, and then they throw to a spot. Tua just throws to a spot. There's a difference.
Understood. When the play calls for like the quick throw to a specific spot. Yes. And a lot of quarterbacks, who will hang on to the ball longer and see where the guy is. I get that, but it's just, again, to me, the semantics of it bother me. Not a lot of things bother me right now because this season completely sucks. And you know what sucks even more is by the end of the day, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be tied for first in the AFC West. And I can't stand it because I'm sick of them. And yes, I don't care what it is, but you're not going to convince me that they don't. I shouldn't go down that road.
No, we got enough going on right now.
No penalties on Sunday night. I mean, on Monday night against the Lions. Like, seriously. Anyway, I'm sick of them. I'm over them already. Over them. Okay, anyway, we digress. Brett again. Oh, no, we got this one. Matto, again, thank you very much, sir. If Ross really does not want to axe McDaniel or Weaver, is there anything the Dolphins can do to make a change? I like Ross, but he has to offer something to the fans as a sacrifice soonish, right? Yeah, that's what the fans want. But who?
Yeah, see, that's the thing, because, like, what are you going to do? Fire Frank Smith? Like, why? What is the point of that? And I think firing Anthony Weaver is justifiable. I don't know what it does for you, but that unit's been horrible. Do I think it would be a bit?
It's not, dude. They gave up 31 points, but 14 of them was handed to them by the offense.
Okay, was that performance good enough to offset what it's done the other 6 weeks?
No, but the timing would be kind of weird.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it wouldn't be a little bit strange, but like again, you asked who. I mean, Frank Smith doesn't really. I don't want to say Frank Smith doesn't do anything, but he's not the play caller on offense.
Correct.
That's Mike. So if you want to make a change that matters, you got to fire Mike McDaniel on offense. If you want to make a change that matters on defense, you got to fire Anthony Weaver. Those are your only two options. I like Frank Smith, generally speaking.
Or trade Tua, but I can't see a team.
No, you can't. Yeah, right. So like that's all they've got. Those are your only options. So to me, if you're not, you probably don't want to fire the head coach. At least that's been the reporting around where Stephen Ross's head is at. Maybe today's so bad it changes things. Personally, I think it should, but that's neither here nor there. If that's not the change you're willing to make, then really your only other option is firing Anthony Weaver. There really is no other option that makes sense.
And to me, that would be a worse look than doing nothing. Because it would be like pure scapegoating him.
I think firing anyone who isn't McDaniel is pure scapegoating, right? Like I do. Again, he is responsible for the offense in totality. He has people that help him, but he is responsible for the personnel, the play calling, and everything. The design of the offense, the structure, it's all McDaniel. So and then defensively, like, could you fire Anthony Weaver? Sure, I guess, but I agree with you. I think that'd be scapegoating him as well. So, like, really, the only one that isn't a scapegoat is McDaniel to me.
Okay, you know what? I just thought of something that's like, here's why this is why they can't fire Anthony Weaver. Not saying that they're not going to, because right now it's fair game to like question anything the Dolphins do. Sorry, Diana Rossini from The Athletic was talking about potential new Tennessee Titans head coaches. She came up with 4 names at the top. The 4th name was Anthony Weaver. And Anthony Weaver, if he goes from Dolphins DC to Tennessee Titans head coach, that's 2 third-round picks. So, for lack of a better term, pissing away that potential opportunity would be complete malpractice. So, no, you can't fire Anthony Weaver. And obviously, if she's mentioning him, and she just didn't pull out that name out of a hat. Obviously, she's got NFL people telling her that. So if Anthony Weaver is good enough to be considered a head coach candidate somewhere on the NFL.
Off topic, that was like maybe the least inspiring head coach candidate list I've ever seen. No offense to Anthony Weaver. I like Anthony Weaver. I thought he was the best candidate on the list. I'm not going to lie. But, man, those 4 names, Matt Nagy, Arthur Smith,
and Vance Joseph was the other one, I believe. And Vance Joseph, former Dolphins defensive.
Yeah, I think Vance and Anthony are 2 best candidates on that list. But like, man, that's
and Vance had a run as a head coach in Denver and flamed out.
It was not good. No.
Karen, again, thank you very much. Dubé, right? Obviously, I'm of the French Canadian persuasion, so I should know how to pronounce it. I wasn't sure. Karen Dubé. Thank you, Karen. Toby, thank you very much for the donation. I'd rather have a team full of sheep led by a lion than a team of lions led by 2 sheep. To a McDaniel, time to clean house. Damn, ouch.
I agree with the last part.
And by the way, I would have loved Dan Campbell as a head coach here in 2016 when they went with Adam Gase. Dolphins, I guess, felt he wasn't quite ready to be a head coach probably from a game management X's and O's thing, and there's some validity to that.
I agree, actually. I think there's a lot of validity to that. I mean, the guy, you think he just went and learned nothing under Sean Payton for X amount of years, Like, I know people like to dunk on the Dolphins, but, man, I'm sure he learned a lot from Sean Payton in New Orleans, and that mattered.
Without question. British Finn, thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. This season is basically a flashy tank. Mendoza, please. I have to do more. I'll do a mea culpa here. I haven't seen the dude play based on everything I've heard and read, though don't know that as much to get excited about. This is the draft guru over here. And draft guru says what?
Mendoza looks nice. He does. Big, tall, strong arm, is getting better. Took a nice leap in competition from the Cal's in the ACC now. That still sounds really strange to say out loud. Don't like that, but he took a nice leap in competition to the Big Ten. Has played well against Oregon, played really well against Michigan State last night. He had a nice game against Illinois, who's ranked earlier in the season. So quarterback class is growing on me frankly. I think right now he's probably one of the top names, and there's a few others. So I watched a decent bit of tape, but definitely going to make that a bit more. Might start watching less Dolphins and more quarterbacks.
Get ready for a lot of draft content on Miami Dolphins on SI.com.
Yeah.
Where all the content is free. So please check it out. Nick, thank you very much for the donation. Bulldoze for Doza.
We got to start coming out with the names for the tank.
Who's Doza?
Fernando Mendoza.
Oh, got it.
We got to start coming up with the tank names. It's that time, baby. It's back.
Brett, again, thank you very much, sir. Pushback. Ewers is over his last year's injury. His arm looks more live than your draft analysis, Dante. Brett, I am speaking to you from somebody who watched Quinn Ewers throughout training camp. I saw every single solitary practice. And let's just say I saw one pass the entire training camp where there was any sort of zip on it. And even at that, it was marginal. Zach Wilson's arm, the ball comes out and there's zip. So from my personal viewing experience throughout training camp, which was 20-something practices, it's not even close. But
yeah, I mean, I think you could just watch today's game. He threw 8 passes today, and I looked about as much as the ball's coming out of Tua's hands to me. So, yeah.
Matt, thank you very much, sir. The only thing worse than this Fin season is listening to Patrick Mahomes complain about the refs. The audacity, thanks for the streams. Yes, I'm not the only one.
They're going to win the Super Bowl again. You know that, right?
Sorry. I'm a little worried right now because they're
healthy and they look kind of nice. The AFC's not very good.
Well, the Colts are really, really good right now. They're ripping the Chargers a new one at halftime, and they'll be 6-1. So
yeah.
But in an AFC Championship game, if it's Patrick Mahomes versus Daniel Jones, no matter how well he's playing right now, probably would go Mahomes. But please, no, please. Anyway. Brett, thank you very much, sir. From tank for Tua to tank with Tua. Genius.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good slogan, Brett. I gotta give you that one.
Yeah. And I wonder, though, because Tua's got his legion of supporters who are very, very loyal to him. I wonder what that base looks like numerically right now. I'm not sure. Polterghost, thank you very much, sir. Or ma'am, if McDaniel gets fired, does Tua get the coach killer label?
So he might get the label. The problem that I have with separating Mike McDaniel from Tua is that Mike was the Tua guy. That was his thing. He came in and he was like, Tua's elite. He's my guy. I'm going to build this offense around him. He said that he went up to Stephen Ross's office and was like, we need to pay this guy. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I don't think Tua limits what Mike McDaniel can do from an offensive scheme perspective because he absolutely does. No, he does. I am saying that he does, right? I'm not saying that he, right? But to me, it's like two things can be true. I think that Tua can limit what Mike McDaniel can call, but I also think that Mike hitched his wagon to Tua and has been very upfront and in everyone's face with that for years. And I don't think you get to let him off the hook now that the thing that everyone could have told you was a problem is a problem. Mike to me hitched his wagon to Tua. It is what it is. Tua might get the coach killer label. I don't think it would be unfair, but I cannot let Mike off the hook. I'm not going to do it.
No. And there was a degree of success with McDaniel.
Yeah, absolutely.
But hear me out. The question that we have to ask ourselves, and I asked this, I don't know that I ever made a definitive statement on it, is because I don't know how much of it was McDaniel in the scheme, the speed that the Dolphins had at the skill positions with Hill, Waddle, and HN and Mostert for a time, and how much of it was Tua's abilities of the quarterback. And I tend to I've always leaned more towards A than B. But the Dolphins have been all in with Tua. Well, no, I wouldn't say all in when they were pursuing Deshaun Watson. But from the moment they hired Mike McDaniel,
yes,
and mind you, he was hired in large part to maximize Tua. From that point on, it's been all about Tua and making things work around Tua. And again, there was a high point in 2023 where the Dolphins offense did score 70 points against the Denver Broncos, but came up short at the end. Yes, in part because of injuries. But those injuries were mostly on defense, and I don't know how far the offense could have taken the Dolphins that particular year. Maybe the defense could have taken them to the Super Bowl under Vic Fangio. And now the Dolphins then went all in even more when they gave him the contract extension, and now they are where they are with a quarterback who's quite frankly regressing. So to answer the question, well, the Tua get Brian Flores fired? Not necessarily directly, but it kind of sort in a little bit of a way.
Kind of.
But I don't want to use that label. Only nasty people use that label, like some other media members in South Florida whose names shall remain nameless, but whose initials are okay. Okay. Josh, thank you very much. They should hire him now, then Weaver to the Titans.
We'll trade him mid-season.
There you go.
Get the problem solved.
That in the regular season.
There we go.
I like that. There you go.
For more. There we go. See, we're coming up with some good ones. We got 2. We need who else we need? We need a Lenoris Sellers one, and we need Ty Simpson. Those are the 4. We got 2.
Thank for Ty. Suck for
Ty's not bad. Suck for Simpson. Those are good. It's a good start.
Think for Sellers.
Sink for Sellers. There we go. See, this is why they pay you the big bucks right here.
Right. They do. Okay. Coach Sav, thank you very much, Coach Sav. Much appreciated. I want to see Wilson. He has legs and a strong arm. Yes, he does. What he doesn't have is the intangibles. That's what's lacking, and that's tough to coach. Yeah,
I mean, look, I'm at the point with the season where if they could try it out anyone at quarterback, and I'll just shrug. Like it is what it is. If they want to get a look at Zach, go for it. You want to get a look at Quinn, go for it. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not telling you it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But if they do, if we get to week 15 and they want to trot Zach out there, they want to track Quinn out there because, the Dolphins have 3 wins in 12 games or whatever it looks like. Sure, why not? I don't know. It is what it is. The season, they're terrible.
No, they are terrible. And then somebody mentioned they're now like number 2 in the projected draft order behind the Jets. And
it's not high enough.
Yeah, you want to talk about bad offenses, and then what are the Jets thinking about Justin Fields? And then this is like completely off topic, but we touched around a little bit everywhere here. Aaron Glenn taking issue with somebody asking him last week after the game if he thought about benching Justin Fields, and then decides to be all indignant about it, and then today he benches Justin Fields. I mean, the dude's bad. Sorry, the dude's bad. And then why the Jets wound up settling for him with a first-year head coach is beyond me. But anyway, Patrick Mullen with a question. Actually, we got one directed to you, one directed to me. Thank you very much for the donation, Patrick. Dante, have any of the QB prospects you have seen shown any ability to process post-snap outside of a simple RPO system? That'll be for you. Me, Alain, respectfully, it's time to second-guess process given these results. For me, I'll be very, very quick. Absolutely. Go ahead, Dante.
There you go. Good answer. Have any of the quarterbacks shown an ability to process outside of RPOs? Yeah, I think so. I think really impressed with Dante Moore's ability to process as a player who hasn't played a lot of football. I think there's some good signs there. I think Mendoza processes pretty well. I think that you've kind of seen him go into an offense that's a little bit RPO heavy in Indiana. So I can understand why there are some concerns there. And I'm not saying that I don't have those concerns, but I do think when they get away from the RPO, you still see his ability to process. And as somebody who actually studied his tape at Cal over the summer, they ran a lot less RPOs and you could see him process there. So good signs for Mendoza. I need to be convinced, but good signs. Ty Simpson processes from Alabama really well. I'm super impressed with his ability to handle pre-snap processing. There was a great video posted this morning by Jordan Reed, who covers the draft for ESPN, where he broke down a play where Ty Simpson changed the protection up front, called an audible, did all these different things, got Alabama into the right play. I think his receiver ended up dropping the pass, if I'm not mistaken, but process-wise, very good. Lenoris Sellers, I think you've seen some growth from him in that area, but to me, that's probably the area he needs to see the biggest jump. But from a tools perspective, I don't think you're going to get much better than Lenoris Sellers. So there's the trade-off for you. So I need to be convinced on all these guys for sure, but I think that each guy has kind of shown some flashes that they can handle that post-snap outside of the RPO system.
Okay. Julian Again, thank you very much for the donation. Please correct me if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. I don't believe so, but do you think yours will be QB2 from now on? Even though Mike McDaniel said after the game today that it was just based on this week, again, why do you the logic that it was a better fit against Cleveland didn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, what do I know? I think maybe more likely than not, we shall see.
I hope somebody asks him that. Like, I would really be so interested if somebody was like, "What about Cleveland made you put Quinn Ewers at QB2?" Because that is one of the strangest answers that I've heard for that question.
Not sure he would answer it, but we'll see. Robert, pray Ross doesn't promote from the current run office. Thank you very much for the donation. He's got candidates there. He's got Marvin Allen as assistant GM. He's got Champ Kelly as a senior personnel executive, I believe is his title. He's a first-year guy, so he's not somebody who's been around for –
It doesn't matter.
Dante says no way. Okay.
No, everyone's got to go. Enough with the half measures. Clean it. Clean the house.
Okay,
Enough.
There you have it. XSN Sanchez, thank you very much for the donation. Thank you, T.Y. Simpson. Okay, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, see?
Clever. Julian, what do you guys think of Bear Backmeyer?
I don't think he's draft eligible. So ask me again when he is, and I'll have an opinion. I promise. I'm going to double check, though, make sure I'm not saying the wrong thing.
Okay. I think I agree with you, Brett. Do less for more for the win. I agree with you, Brett.
It's a good one.
And thank you again. That's very, very clever. I like that. No, thank you very much, sir. This team has too many ills for a number one overall pick to resolve. When Greer said it was going to be a reset year, did anyone really see this coming? No. I think I don't know if he was preparing everybody I think he was preparing everybody for we're going to have to play a lot of young guys. The problem is your young guys, your rookies are not performing great. Although Jonah did have a second level block on the long run by Devon Achane. And then as I wrote today on MiamiDolphinsInside.com, another part of the issue is that free agent class the Dolphins signed, which was done very economically. Well, the Dolphins are getting what they paid for, which is not a ton.
Yeah.
Any lie told?
No lie told. Not at all. It's just like a comedy of bad decision making and errors. I'm at the point now where it's just like it's just funny to like think about. It's just like I can't. Yeah. No lies. None at all.
Got another very good one here from British Finn. Be dire for Nussmeier.
Now we're getting really creative. We're getting into the bag now. I love it.
I have my limited viewing of him. He's got something I like. There's something there with the dude. Okay, guess what? That's gonna wrap it up. I think that we got Noel with another one. Thank you very much, Noel. Much appreciated. Could Finns do some NBA style trades where we take on bad contracts for draft assets? All signs point to us being terrible next year at the very least. Dolphins don't have a ton of cap space. So no,
I was about to say no, because you also don't have any money. So you can't. Right. and then given what the dead cap is going to look like next season, and it's not happening next year either. You just got to wait for some of these charges to come off the books. Unfortunately, that's, again, you talked about the summer of spending. These are the consequences of those actions.
Yeah. The bottom line is the Dolphins went all in 2022 and 2023. They got themselves the best team they'd had probably in 20 years in 2023. Would also, they had Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator, who was a very, very good coach. And they put themselves in the position. They were 11-4 going to Baltimore in week 17. I have to remind folks, and folks can tell me all they want. They're like, this is a flawed team. They never were going to go anywhere. This doesn't change the fact that we're 11-4. And it's been south from that point on, bad. Jimmy Benjamin, thank you very much. Tying your head coach career to Tua was so idiotic. Here's the thing, though, Jimmy. If it wasn't for Tua and his pitch to Stephen Ross that he could fix Tua and get the most out of him, does Mike McDaniel have ever become a head coach?
Not sure. Maybe not. We'll never know.
Right. Not sure either. So guess what, gang? That's going to wrap it up. Hope this has been a productive therapy session and you feel a little bit better about things or have a little bit more clarity or even more pissed off. I hope not, but if you're more pissed off, it's just bad. There's no two ways around it. The Dolphins are now 1-6 after this 31-6 loss against the Cleveland Browns. And in fact, the last time I remember a 31-6 score was in the tank season of 2019 against the Dallas Cowboys.
We're so back.
Kind of, sort of. It's rough. Doesn't get any easier next week playing the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. We'll see what happens during the week. I would say would not be a surprise if there was a head coaching move Monday morning. I also wouldn't be surprised if there weren't. How's that for being decisive?
There we go.
Prediction, a solid prediction. Again, that's why I get paid the big bucks. There could be a move or there might not be a move. How's that? Remember that. And either way, I'll be able to tell you, hey, told you. You're working, man.
You got to play both sides so you always come out on top. There we go.
Yep. Not just something to hold the hat. Anyway, that's going to do it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Much appreciated, especially those with donations. Very kind of all of you. We'll be back here tomorrow. In the meantime, please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And hopefully things will get better sooner rather than later. And again, please check out the website at MiamiDolphinsOnSI.com. For Dante, I am Poop. Thanks, everyone. Peace out.